6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. So much in the news. So little time. And my camera's... I gotta get a new camera. The story of my life. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully everything will find a way. It is just slow. Okay. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show. Hope you guys are having a great day. Let's get right into it. Let's go.
Welcome to the revolution.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show. Thank you guys for taking time out of your day to hang out with me. It always means so much to me. I hope you guys are having a great Friday. But let's get right into the news. I'm waiting for our great and powerful Kamala Harris, because apparently she's going to speak. So we'll watch that and hopefully have some LOLs and some giggles. Some giggles. You never know what's going to happen on this show. I don't have writers. I do not... I take a long time studying what's going on and also pulling a bunch of clips and stuff, so hopefully we can kick back, relax. It's Friday, people. But I hope you guys are having a good day. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. Give it a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube's. I'm going a little early today. Going a little early today, so hopefully everything is gonna be working just fine. My internet's been like weird lately. Anyways, let's get right into some of the news. I saw this. What is the deal with my camera, man? God, sorry. Getting a little better. A little wonky. A little weird. I saw this in the news today and I thought this was just incredible. As they slowly try to erase women constantly in history. Sports, now history. Gender neutral Joan of Arc at Globe. Joan of Arc will be portrayed as a gender neutral character. Say that 10 times fast. Gender neutral character in a new play at the home of Shakespeare in London, in a radical departure from the usual depiction of the historic figure. Audiences for I, Joan, which will open August 25th, and the Globe will run for 2 months. We'll hear Joan use the pronouns they and them. That's right. Sorry, women. You do not get to celebrate this figure. This is not part of your history. I know she's a total badass and a cool story and all that stuff. And the play will be described by the theater as alive, queer, and full of hope. Is this just another attempt by the left to, as they say, instead of like whitewash, it's like gender wash a character? They don't have very many in history, so they're just taking this character and assuming why, because she has very male characteristics, because she's a battle warrior. I don't understand why they're taking this away from women, but you get the story. Crazy times to be alive. Let me know your thoughts on this. Do you care? I'm not sure I care, but I can only imagine what some of these feminists, it makes sense that people for Shakespeare plays are doing stuff like this. It's a wink and a nod to the left. But let me know your thoughts on if you actually care. I can imagine if you're a feminist, you'd probably care about stuff like this, because this seems like somebody, if I was a woman, that I would feel empowered by and encouraged by and seeing the strength and all that stuff. But nope, they're taking this away from you too. Sorry. All right. As we go down to the next story, before we check in to see if Kamala's talking. No, not yet. She always keeps us waiting. That daggum Kamala. I hope you guys are enjoying this Friday. I am currently live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, all the good sources. This is freaking exclusive. Coming down. God, my camera is still being ridiculous. Okay. It's like coming back. It's going away. It's coming back. This is exclusive. Warrant and property receipt from Mar-a-Lago raid. Here's the actual raid right here. Oh, the seizure warrant exclusive only on Derek O'Shea and humaneffects.com. Search and seizure warrant. But here it is. The premises is to be searched. Ocean Boulevard, Palm Ford is further described as a resort club, residential home located in southern blah, 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 blah. But this is the actual raid. Physical documents, including evidence of contraband, fruits of crime, or illegal process of violation. Any physical documents with classified markings along with containers or boxes, including other contaminants, contents in which such documents are located well within the container boxes, blah, blah, blah. Information including communication in any form regarding retrieval, storage, any government or presidential record created in January 2017 and January 2021. Any evidence knowing alteration, destruction, or concealment of any government or presidential blah, blah, blah. You saw this earlier today. They were talking about freaking nuclear codes with Trump. It's just so silly. If all this was so serious, why did they wait so long to go after all this stuff? No one knows. I mean, it just feeds into the people's ideas of what's going on with this whole debacle anyways, is to stop Trump from running again and to stop him and encouraging candidates and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of stuff, a lot of chatter online talking about how they're just trying to pin him down again as a Russian asset, a Russian agent, whatever. The list goes on. I mean, at this point, even if you hate Trump, you got to be like, if they can't pin him down on anything by now, you need to just walk away. This is just getting so political and so weird. But here's the Daily Mail story about breaking down. Where'd it go? Okay, here it is. Trump is under investigation for violating the Espionage Act after FBI recovered 11 sets of classified documents from Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, he's a Russian agent again. We're back to that. Ex-president insists he declassified all his files, his lawyers tell DOJ. Now, I'm hearing a lot of stuff, too, about a lot of these files potentially, and these are coming from Trump aides and stuff like that, like Kash Patel and stuff like that. So I take it with a grain of salt. But I'm hearing a lot of chatter saying that all the stuff that they took was stuff they had on the Clintons and what they did as far as like blaming him to be a Russian asset with peeing and stuff like that. You should co-stream on YouTube. Twitch is infested by socialists. I'm currently on YouTube right now, Quirky Imperial Social. I know Twitch is infested with socialists. And I don't care. And I know most of them just want to watch the world burn anyways on Twitch. That's all they're obsessed with, is destroying people's lives and freaking swatting and all that crap. But I guess you got to have some kind of voice in the darkness, right? Trump is under investigation. Trump is under investigation for obstruction of justice for violating Espionage Act. We're back to that. He's a secret Russian agent. The warrant reportedly shows the FBI retrieved 11 sets of classified documents, blah, blah, blah. Agents recovered 20 boxes. Oh my God, 20 boxes. Some were marked as top secret. Some of the boxes they got were marked as top secret, and that's when you know you got to take them. God. I can't stand our government sometimes, especially the FBI. What is one thing good the FBI has done? I can't think of anything. I've been on this FBI sucks for a long time. Which is the weirdest thing too, is like when you see the whole, I've seen a lot of people on the left talk about how, oh, you guys were back to blue before. And I never was a huge cop fan anyways, but I treat everyone as individuals. I don't want to put anyone in groups because it's just not wise to do that in life in general. And you don't want to say all white people act like this way or all these people act like this way. So I try to separate people as individuals, which is not something the left likes to do anyways. They like to compartmentalize and put people in boxes because it makes people feel safe. If I can just call you a name, then I can feel safe about who I'm talking to, and I don't actually have to address them as a human being. I can just have a normal conversation. It's just, we live in such a crazy time. But I don't know if you guys know this. I know I got a lot of younger audience. Salman Rushdie is in surgery after being stabbed 10 to 15 times, including once in the neck in New York City. As I just switch up, because I'm at the point now with this whole Trump and FBI stuff. It's clearly a witch hunt. I mean, we had him peeing on Russian prostitutes. He was a secret agent for them. It just goes on and on with Trump. And it just gets to the point where it's like, you would think the stuff that they could actually hammer him down on and nail him on, they would have gotten it early. And the fact that all of it came out as a lie and not credible at all. And every time you see a source, it's always like the source is, every source I see about Trump is like an anonymous source of worked closely with or overheard somebody. And it's just, if you're not awaken to just the insanity that Trump derangement syndrome people have, then I don't know what to tell you. We live in two different realities. We live in two different thought processes. But Donald Trump tweeted on Trump's Truth Social, which thank God he's finally starting to do that kind of stuff. For the longest time, I couldn't understand why he started an app company and then he never talked on it. It made no sense to me. We're still waiting on Kamala Harris to join. Number one, he says, it was all declassified. Number two, they didn't have to seize anything. They could have had it anytime they wanted without playing politics and breaking into Mar-a-Lago. It was secured storage and additional lock put in question. I've seen a lot of stuff where the FBI actually told them, hey, keep it locked up, man. What? But then they came back and they broke in and got it. And then I don't know if you've seen stuff on MSNBC and stuff like that as they were trying to reclaim the word raid. It wasn't a raid. That's just what they do to poor people. This is different. They knocked on the door, they broke doors down, and then they had guns and stuff like that. This is different. Donald Trump also continued to say they could have had it anytime they wanted. It includes long a time ago. All they had to do was ask. The bigger problem is, which even if they didn't have to ask, the fact that they had to, the way they did it is just so ridiculous. The bigger problem is what they are going to do with the 33 million pages of documents that are, many of which are classified, that President Obama took from Chicago. Every president takes things. What is owned by the state, what is not owned by the state. Clinton's with furniture, Obama's with other stuff. I mean, every president does it. So I like that. Anytime Trump did something, they made it seem like Trump was the only president to ever do anything like that. Nuclear weapons issue is a hoax, he says. Just like Russia was a hoax. 2 impeachments were a hoax. The Mueller investigation was a hoax, and many, many more. Same sleazy people involved. Why would the FBI allow the inspection of areas at Mar-a-Lago with our lawyers or others present? Of course they don't want the lawyers there. I like that he made them wait outside in the heat. In the heat, I like that he added that. You had to be out in the heat. No water. Wouldn't let them get even close. Said absolutely not. Planting information to anyone reminds me of the Christofer Steele Dossier. It's all very weird. And I know we got the more honest take on it, but it's just, I think we're going to find out more as days go by. But if you're for this, I don't know what to tell you. You're basically a fascist. You want the state to seize your freedoms. And I see a lot of people on the internet that are clapping a lot of this and laughing at this. It's the same people that tell you they want to defund the police are happy about the FBI, which is very ironic, but it makes sense when you think about it, because of course the left is happy about federal governmental power over state and local power. They don't like state and local power. State and local power is more centralized, and you have more power to vote and stuff like that. But then in the big grand scheme of things move slower, and they don't like that. They like fast-moving politics because then they can pass things based on emotion. But Salman Rushdie was rushed into surgery after being stabbed. I think this is the video of him being stabbed. I don't think you see everything, thank God. But here is the video. Cut the video. So I don't know if you're a fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm. They talked about the fatwa because Larry David had a fatwa against him for a while. But this is just crazy, including their neck. Apparently he's alive. I'm not sure. I keep hearing different reports whether he's alive or dead. Airlifted to the hospital 33 years after Iran issued a fatwa on him for the novel The Satanic Verses. Salman Rushdie is 75 years old, so you know how that goes when you get stabbed. Oh, wait, this is an older guy. There he is being rushed in the helicopter. But of course it happened in New York. I mean, New York is insane right now with crime. Look at that. That's a closer up picture. It's his house. Oh, is that his blood? Oh, look at that blood. Ugh. I got dogs on stage. Dang. I cannot imagine being stabbed for one. Muslim activists beat a burning effigy of Salman Rushdie in New Delhi. Man, that's freaking crazy. I don't really know. Man, Kamala is so late. You think I'm late when I come on here? This Biden administration, they are some of the most late people I've ever seen. It's because they know I'm watching. But here's that video. All right, we'll go back. And now I just have, and here's the report, the stabbing wound in the neck. On August 12th, 2022, at 11 a.m., a male suspect ran onto the stage and attacked Rushdie and an interviewer. Rushdie suffered an apparent stab wound to the neck and was transported by a helicopter to an area hospital. His condition is not yet known. Yet I've seen conflicting reports that he's doing okay. I've seen reports that he's on life. So I've just seen it all over the place. And of course, that's the case. Whenever you have something breaking like this, it's all over the place. And the interviewer suffered a minor head injury, which he stabbed in the neck. A state trooper assigned to the event immediately took the suspect into custody. Oh, so he's alive? It's freaking nuts, man. We live in a crazy time. Do you ever, you guys that are watching, do you guys ever just stop and think, we live in such a crazy time period in our life? I'm going to make sure the sound is on for this. Okay, next. We got so many clips. But here's a little teaser from earlier, Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris might be one of the most cringe people ever. I don't understand why but I get why they chose her because she fit the quota, but she is just not smart. And her writers aren't very good. But here's her talking about equity, and this is just funny.
So when we talk about equality, well, that's a good goal, but let us not presume that because everyone should be treated equal, that they start out on equal footing. So equity as a concept says, recognize that everyone has the same capacity, but in order for them to have equal opportunity to reach that capacity, we must pay attention to this issue of equity if we are to expect and allow people to compete on equal footing.
What was that definition? I think she was even confused what she was saying. Let's hear that one more time.
Concept says, recognize that everyone has the same capacity, but in order for them to have equal opportunity to reach that capacity, we must pay attention to this issue of equity if we are to expect and allow people to compete.
Nothing says I know what a word means like using the word in a definition. I like that they had the breakdown of it too. But in order for them to have equal opportunity to reach the capacity, well, we must pay attention to the issue of equity. Okay. All right. God. And here she is again. Let's just see if she's live right now. Nope. Okay. You're killing me, Smalls. The little bit of a slow news day for those that, besides Rushdie and Trump, which I just feel like it's just one of those issues that we need to wait for what they actually say, because I'm just hearing like the craziest different reports about nuclear codes and Hillary Clinton's emails and Hillary Clinton's pushing for Russian disinformation, and it's all over the map right now. And of course it is, because it's just insane at what happened, and so people are trying to rush to judgment and rush to assumptions. But what we can assume is this is a definitely political and it's at its finest. And it's unfortunate that we live in a country where this is happening and people are just like clapping it. Such a weird time to be alive. But of course they're clapping it, because those that are clapping stuff that what's going on with the FBI and stuff like that, they're just useful idiots. That's just all they are. Yay. Okay, let's listen to this clip from Kamala.
Investment on the climate crisis is extraordinary and will literally be the largest that our nation has ever made to address this crisis. The leaders of California and in this Bay Area have been national and international leaders. And these investments then, as we all know, are about what we need to do to really take on with vigor and serious resources.
Death Metal 114, what up? Death Metal, heck yeah. We're just listening to Kamala Harris talk about the Inflation Reduction Act, which is an oxymoron. It's funny they called it an Inflation Reduction Act, and in the same instance they're talking about how much money they're spending on it. The best way to get out of debt is to spend money you don't have.
Investment on the climate crisis is extraordinary and will literally be the largest that our nation has ever made to address this crisis. The leaders of California and in this Bay Area have been national and international leaders. And these investments then, as we all know, are about what we need to do to really take on with vigor and serious resources the issue, but also in the process create millions of good-paying jobs, including good union jobs.
Dear God.
So this is the work that we are doing. Investment on the climate.
It's always a wink and nod to the unions with these people. We are just going farther in debt as they promote things like zero inflation for the month of July. God. That's right. If you gain 100 pounds in June, but you gain 0 pounds in July, you've gained 0 pounds. Here's another cringe clip. See if she's live. Is she live? I mean, what are you doing, Kamal? God. 263 people watching. That's when you know it's very serious. Dislike. God, okay.
And we will also make new and used electric vehicles thousands of dollars cheaper so that more people can afford to plug in a hybrid or electric car. And that, of course, means paying less or even nothing in terms of gas. Right. And we will also make new and used electric vehicles thousands of dollars cheaper so that more people can afford to plug in.
Wait, what? What was that? I missed the first part. Okay, so she said we're going to make new and used electric vehicles. Okay, wait, one more time.
And we will also make new and used electric vehicles.
This is freaking administration, man. What the frick? Making new and used pencils every single day. Come on, bruh. All right. I feel like I need to break down this Kamala video.
And we will also make new and used electric vehicles thousands of dollars cheaper so that more people can afford to plug in a hybrid or electric car. And that, of course, means paying less or even nothing in terms of gas. Right.
Clap. God. Oh, this administration. The adults are back in charge. The experts are here, folks. I like that every time she has like a term or she feels like she needs to talk about something, I feel like she feels like she's talking to idiots in the world, and she always has to like break it down into the simplest terms. But even while she breaks things down in simple terms, she messes everything up. It doesn't make any sense. How can you even start a statement? Like if I said we're gonna make used vehicles, I would stop myself and be like, what did I just freaking say? But these people are so programmed. they just say these ridiculous things, and they feel like they don't mess up ever. It's like with Biden. He constantly says things that are off the rails, and he never stops. And now Biden is something different. But what would be her excuse? How does she mess that up? How would she not just laugh at what she just said? Is she just that nervous while she talks? Is she that freaked out on the stage of life that she will fumble through words so much so that she has no idea what she's even saying? Oh, I can't wait for her to talk about the space station. I hope she talks about space. All right, next. This video. God, this video should just annoy the heck out of everyone. But get in the chat, say what's up. Hope you guys are having a good Friday. I think I'm gonna do this show, take a break later, and then come back and probably play some old school Nintendo or something. Because it's Friday. I'm feeling good. It's a good day to be. It's a good day to be alive, mate. It's a good day to be alive. Here is our representatives. Here's our representatives. Still trying to flip and change the narrative, change the definition, change the idea, change your feelings about words. And this time, this word is inflation. Or we talked about last time how recession. They wanted to change the word recession because we're in a recession, technically, by definition of the word and all that stuff. But here's a perfect example of politics at its finest.
Welcome. Salabah at Stanford University.
Okay. We're live. They messed me up. I was like on my way to say something epic. But here comes. This is live right now.
Good afternoon, everybody.
And then we'll go back and finish the rest of the podcast.
From Mauritania. I'm a mechanical engineering undergrad at Stanford University, a Patty Gray Smith Fellow in the class of 2022, and an intern at Blue Origin's Environmental Test Lab in Kent, Washington. So I guess you can say I'm a fan of space.
George is getting upset.
My interest in space began in Northern Virginia in 2012 when my 4th grade class took a step outside to look up at the sky and watch as the Discovery space shuttle landed at Dulles Airport. That weekend, my family and I visited the Air and Space Museum to see the space shuttle, and we got to attend a panel of astronauts doing a Q&A. Funny thing is, last month, I ran into one of those same astronauts at the Patty Gray Smith Fellowship Summit in DC over 10 years later. During that time, the commercial spaceflight industry has changed an incredible amount, and I am so fortunate to have witnessed that change growing up. Now, without further ado, it is my greatest honor to pass the mic to the first woman, the first person of South Asian descent, and the first person of African American descent to become Vice President of the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yes! That's right. You don't have to actually be a good vice president. As long as you hit the right boxes, you should be celebrated, no matter how crappy you are.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please have a seat. How about Sala? Can we hear? We were talking before we came out, and I'm telling you, our future is so bright. When you look at our young leaders, who she's just full of enthusiasm and excitement.
She has no idea what she's saying.
And she's committed and passionate, and it just excites me. I think it excites us all. So thank you all. Thank you. I really have enjoyed this afternoon being here at Chabot and with these extraordinary leaders, just investing in the best of who we are and the future of our country and our world and our universe. It really is. It really is emblematic of also, I will say this as a proud kid of the Bay Area, of who we are in this region of the world.
Of the universe.
Because we are always, I think, committed to seeing what is possible and then charting a course to get there. So thank you.
Oh, I thought she was going to do that.
Today we are joined by members of our administration and leaders of this great state, including our governor, Gavin Newsom, and Mayor of Oakland, Libby Schaaf. We are also joined, of course, by many of our private sector space partners, and I'm glad to see all of you. You all are leaders who are driving our nation forward. And again, that is what this is all about, moving forward together. I also want to thank Chabot Science and Space Center for hosting us today and all the work that you've done for so many years. As a kid growing up just down the way, I know of the work that happens in this beautiful place. Before I begin my more extensive remarks about why we are here, I do want to share a few words about the news from Washington, D.C. Today, the House of Representatives will vote on the Inflation Reduction Act. I believe they have, or they are just about to. And I do want to thank Congresswoman Barbara Lee for being in Washington today to make that happen. Yes. And very shortly then, President Biden will sign the law into action. And it is just yet another major component of our administration's agenda to bring down the costs for the American people. Soon, we will cap the cost of insulin for seniors to just $35 a month, which is a huge step toward making life manageable for so many people. We will reduce health insurance costs for 13 million Americans by an average of $800 a year. Again, a very significant step. And we will allow Medicare to finally negotiate the price of prescription drugs, which will bring down the cost of medication for millions of Americans. And to bring down energy costs, we will give working families as much as $8,000 to upgrade their HVAC system, which means, of course,
free
lower
money,
energy bills, and cleaner air.
That's free.
And we will also make new and used electric vehicles more affordable so that people can afford a plug-in hybrid or electric car and pay less or maybe nothing at all when it comes to gas.
She just said that
these climate
yesterday.
Investments, as you
and
all
today.
know, are the largest in our nation's history.
These people are robots.
Extremely important in terms of dealing with the crisis that we face here in California. We watch it, see it. Governor, you've been doing a great job of addressing the wildfires. But around our nation, we're looking at floods and hurricanes, and we know that the moment is now. If we don't act now, it will be irreversible. So these investments are the largest our nation has ever made and will, in the process of addressing the crisis, create millions of jobs, good-paying jobs, in communities across our nation. And if people ask you, just in case they might, who's going to pay for all this, we'll let them know, as we promised, we are not going to raise taxes on families making less than $400,000 a year. But
exactly. It'll just go on to the rich people, and the rich people will just soak it in and continue to pay. They're not going to pass that money down to poorer people like you and me. They're not going to raise prices on stuff, or maybe not hire people, as many people, or maybe not give you that raise at work, which you feel like you deserve. No. It's just going to the rich people, and then they're just going to assume it, and they're going to keep their money in America, and they're going to keep the jobs in America. Yeah. Again, we could talk all business all we want. I wish these same people that are so worried about like rich people getting away from taxes, these are the same people that write the tax code that enable it to happen. So instead of, hiring more agents, maybe just write a more clear tax code that would stop evasion or just make it more fair for every single person. But I digress. These same people that talk about taxing the rich are happy to take money from the rich for their political campaigns. And you think rich people giving money to a politician that's going to take a bunch of money from them, do you think they really think that's going to happen? Or do you think these politicians are going to help them evade a lot of stuff? It's such a vicious cycle, and they're just so quick to lie to people, and it just makes me angry. I just get angry when I hear lies. I get frustrated, and it should frustrate you as well.
We are going to expect that our largest corporations will pay their fair share.
And they won't.
And as we chart a course forward, we are excited about the work that is happening.
You know who's going to pay their fair share? It's always the middle class and the poor, and it's always small businesses. It's not going to be these large corporations like the Amazon, the Walmarts, the BlackRock. These corporations won't. There's a reason why it's a talking point, and it's going to remain a talking point about breaking down the rich and taking rich people's money. They want that talking point because they feel like it's an easy talking point for them that they can continue to bring up over and over and over again and say we have so much work to do. Because it makes poorer people sound like, yeah, we should take the rich people's money. And so it gives them an encouragement and ignites a fire in them, as opposed to just thinking logically of what happens when we tax rich people and how do they keep evading taxes, and how what is a CPA and what's an accountant? What are these things? How come when I do my TurboTax, it's different than when they have their lawyers do it for them?
Happening right now, and the work that we are all here committed to doing together. And so let's talk about space.
I'm gonna spit my coffee out.
So 139 years ago, in this city of Oakland, we built the first space observatory with funds that were provided by a local businessman. The observatory brought
the government?
Basically an 8-inch telescope right here. And there was extreme excitement. We've looked at the newspaper accounts of the day. Extreme excitement about what this innovation meant. It was written that there was going to be the ability of people here on a clear night to look up and see neighboring planets and faraway stars, things that had never been seen by the naked eye through any type of facility like this.
Is she talking to adults right now? What the frick? I swear she's talking to like preschoolers. God. Keep listening.
It was so exciting. They talked about how you could see craters on the moon. I invite you all to read the articles. I was tempted to just quote from all of them, but we might be here all afternoon. So we have that history. And then, of course, at the turn of the century, there was a technological revolution. Wilbur and Orville Wright made their first flight. And in the span of a single lifetime, our nation went from the sands of Kitty Hawk to the surface of the moon. We established space stations in Earth's orbit, and we sent probes far out into our solar system. And all of this was made possible because of the partnerships. From the very beginning, the innovation, the creativity, and the drive of commercial space companies, combined with the resources and the vision of the United States government, has powered America's progress in space and our leadership of progress in space. So last December in Washington, I convened our administration's first National Space Council meeting. I am the chair of the council, and as the chair, I am clear. With the exploration of space being defined in the 20th century, we know that living in this century, we must think about where we now stand and where we must go. So while it was defined quite well in the 20th century, the opportunity of space must guide our work in the 21st century. And to seize that opportunity, our government must deepen and strengthen our partnership with the private sector. Today, at laboratories, on launch pads, and in orbit, often in partnership with our government, commercial space companies are making real the opportunity of space for millions of Americans. Their work is accelerating innovation in the space sector and shaping our nation's future in space. They are helping, working with us. They are allowing us together to build a capable, creative, and increasingly diverse STEM workforce. We've talked about that, many of us, this afternoon. And this work helps to make sure that what happens in space benefits the people here on Earth. For example, commercial space companies design and launch satellites that predict the pattern of hurricanes and detect wildfires before they spread. Here in my home state, in our home state of California, firefighters rely on commercial satellites to communicate in areas where fire has destroyed a cellular network. And soon, a new generation of satellites will help us fight the climate crisis by tracking and allowing us to see the patterns of greenhouse gas emissions and to see that in real time. The commercial space industry is also a powerful engine for economic growth. Our nation's space economy employs over 354,000 people and generates $200 billion a year. As many of you know, later this month, NASA will launch Artemis 1. We're very excited about that. And it is the first in a series of missions that will return American astronauts to the moon.
I'm sorry if this is boring.
Including the first
I
one.
thought this was going to be way funnier. Oh.
And should you choose Sala, you'll be next. The Artemis program would not be possible without the leadership and the partnership that we have with the commercial space industry. The United States, you see, is the flag of choice for space activities. It is the flag of choice. And with that comes great opportunity, but also great responsibility in terms of what course we will chart for the work that happens here on Earth.
Here we go.
That
Now
will
she's
then
getting.
maximize the opportunities in space.
This is where Kamal gets funny.
So our nation is entering a new era. And that new era includes considering and thinking about our exploration in space and how we use space, and are we prepared for the possibilities, but also the challenges. To that end, we understand that we've got to update the rules, because they're just simply outdated. They were written for a space industry of the last century. And when I was going through here just today, speaking with some of our innovators and looking at where the technology has grown in just the last decade, we know that we really are quite behind in terms of maximizing our collective understanding about how we will engage on the technology of today and what we can quickly and easily predict will be the technology over the next decades. So to maintain our position as the United States of America on this issue, it is critical that we work together to understand where we are, to recognize and have the courage to speak truth about what is obsolete,
Jeez.
and then to partner to ensure that we are speaking the same language with the same motivation.
I can't imagine being in the
Inspired
audience right now. This is
by
so
the
boring.
opportunity of it all, but then doing the work of updating how we have been talking and thinking about our exploration in space. And so we will do this work to make sure our nation remains a role model, for the responsible use of space, because we know we must keep pace with the tremendous rate of innovation.
Space must keep pace.
So we must write new rules to provide the clarity that all of us require, to provide certainty. We know that if we are to partner, if we are to invest, if we are to seek those who understand the potential of all of it, clarity and consistency is critical. And we know that we must write new rules that allow flexibility to incorporate the innovation that is occurring in real time. And so all of this is something that we can imagine, and not only imagine,
If I'm yawning,
but the
you're
work that
yawning.
we are committed through this convening, and the convening we are going to have in about a month, to get this job done, and to get it done with a sense of swift pace, understanding the technology is growing every day. So I am proud today to announce that our partnership with regulatory agencies will engage the private sector as we develop a new rules framework. And we will discuss this work and much more at our next meeting, at the next convening of the National Space Council. That meeting will take place on September 9th, and I look forward to seeing many of you there. So this is a convening with the preparation for a working meeting. Is
Oh my gosh, this is like the worst speech.
And with that, I'll end with the story. So last month,
here we go.
President Biden and I unveiled the first photographs taken by the James Webb Space Telescope. I think we were all just in awe. I was sharing with some of the friends that when I first saw those photographs, I had a very intellectual response, which was, wow. It was just extraordinary what it is teaching us in these moments where we face so many challenges in the world. And then to see those photographs and realize there is still so much we don't know and we've not seen, and giving us a sense of optimism about it all. And so those photos, of course, they were of our infant universe as it was billions of years ago, of swirling galaxies and dying stars, photos that revealed a universe of humble size and awe-inspiring beauty. So seeing those photographs, as we all did, let that be a reminder to us of how far we have come from peering up at the planets through an 8-inch telescope to capturing images of the very birth of our universe. So let us remember that we have come a long way, but we still have so far to go, and we are going to do this work together. And I thank you all for the partnership and for the innovation.
Oh my
and for
God.
the awe-inspiring work.
I'm
Thank
glad
you very
she's
much.
wrapping
Have a
up.
good
This is
afternoon.
rough. Oh my gosh, she is so boring. Oh my God. Oh, that was just awful. God. I think I yawned like 8 times during that. God. All right, let's go back and finish some of these stories. God. I feel like I need to like take like a mental break. I'm gonna get a drink of something to drink. I'll be right back. It'll be like 5 seconds. I'm just gonna grab something out of the fridge. I'll be right back. I'm still live. Don't worry. Okay. All right. God, that was just rough. All right. The best part of waking up. All right. All right. I saw this clip today being passed around, and I just thought, what the frick is this? As this administration continues to try to dumb down their language to people like you and think you're an idiot, think you have no idea what a recession is. You also maybe have no idea how to use a dictionary, have no idea what inflation is. These are just words. These are words. Don't worry about these words, you stupid peons. But here is our Democrats at their finest. Here we go. Listen to this very carefully.
It is ultimately going to lead to a reduction in overall inflation, but most importantly, to the budget that people have every single day. Inflation is like a theoretical word that economists use, but what families feel every day is the up or down of costs.
Oh, that's not probably going to help make anybody feel better.
You know, inflation is just a theoretical word. It's just like a theory. There's no set in stone. You have no idea when you see it. It's just one of these, I don't know. It's more fluid of a definition. It's different. And if you disagree with me, well, you're a white supremacist. If you're not awaken to the rhetoric and the way they look at people like you, and view you and just see you as just so dumb, you don't get it. You don't know what a recession is. You don't know what an FBI raid is. You don't know what a woman is. You don't know what these words don't have meaning. Everything is fluid, and if you were to say otherwise, it's because you're closed-minded and a bigot. Like, I know, yeah, she's right. American people do feel inflation, but American people also know what inflation is. Anybody with 2 brain cells understands that the same dollar that you were paid today compared to the same dollar you were paid 4 or 5 years ago is worth less. That's why you get a 2% raise at work, but when inflation is 8.5%, well, that doesn't really help much, does it? But I digress. It's just a theoretical word. I feel like I need to hear this one more time.
It is ultimately going to lead to a reduction in overall inflation, but most importantly, to the budget that people have every single day. Inflation is like a theoretical word that economists use, but what
just a theoretical word that these economists use. These experts or people that actually do business, and she's probably never worked in the business sector, but this is theory. This is a feeling. You're not really actually feeling it. And I saw this clip today. It's the most insane thing ever. Here is Ontario. This is Doug Ford. Swallowing a bee in the middle of his press conference is literally hilarious. Okay, let's watch.
It's coming from the health sector. Holy Christ. I just swallowed a bee. Holy Christ. I knew that little bugger. Oh. I'm good. He's down here buzzing around right now. He has a lot of real estate. Now, if that was in the clip, okay, this is going to be replayed over and over again. And
I'm doing it right now.
The health sector.
Let's see it one more time.
Holy Christ. I just swallowed a bee. Holy Christ. It's coming from the health sector.
I feel like I can't see it. I'm trying to see if I can picture the perfect moment it goes in. It's got to be like right there.
It's coming from the health sector. Holy Christ. I just swallowed a bee. Holy Christ. I knew that little bugger. Oh. I'm good. He's down here buzzing around right now. He has a lot of real estate. Now, if that was in the clip.
Oh, geez, there, Bab. He's going to be forever known as the Bee Man. I saw this clip today, too, and I thought it was just absolutely hilarious and perfect example of MSNBC and just how they just like wink and nod, and they make sure they hit all the right terms of the day. But here's the teachers union talking about the science.
Schools and teachers were often at the epicenter of these fights, and it was exhausting. First, as kids are preparing to go back to school, do teachers support the potential easing of requirements by the CDC?
Educators believe in the science. And so we are definitely going to ensure that we are continuing to support the science and make sure that we are supporting whatever is needed in our communities. The fight that we had here in Texas was that the governor was saying no masks at all. And we know that Texas is big and there were many different things happening in different communities. What we're going to continue to ask for is that communities have the control to be able to say what is needed to keep everyone safe. And so if that's going to be a fight, that's going to be a fight. We will follow CDC guidelines, but we want to ensure that our local school districts who have been elected to make sure that we're doing the best for our students have the power to do that.
Big picture, how important is it to get these big kids back into the classroom, to give them some sense of normalcy?
At this point, if you're still talking about, I just feel like we're living in different realities at this point. People are still talking about wearing a mask in public. I mean, I just saw a Fauci video of him in public, and everybody in the audience is wearing a mask except for him. And, he's old and frail, and so is the gentleman that was interviewing him. But everyone, they're not wearing masks. And it's just like, are we still doing this whole thing? Are we still pretending like we're supposed to care? If that's not a perfect example of what's going on in the world, I don't know what it is. Okay, here's CNN freaking out about just talking about Biden. I mean, the FBI raid. But in this clip, you can see that even CNN is starting to be like, wait a minute, if they don't have anything on Trump at this moment, then this is a horrible mistake. Listen to these words. This is from CNN.
Look, we understand that DOJ has information they need to withhold, but it's really hard to look at what happened yesterday as anything short of an overreach by the federal authorities and potential political persecution. And many are saying, and I've talked to a lot of folks up and down the political spectrum, doing such a raid to this magnitude, a search to this extreme, anything short of finding the nuclear codes at Mar-a-Lago is going to hugely backfire on the Biden administration. Look, we understand that DOJ has...
Exactly. Even they are just confused as we are. If they don't have actual anything that they have to show from this, and it turns out to be nothing, a nothing burger, just like everything else that they've tried to pin Trump with. Also, it just also proves the illegitimacy of the whole January 6th trial in general. I mean, that whole trial is just so silly. And it's just such a spectacle and full show. And the fact that it has a special producer and crap, it's just, if something's real, if something's genuine, you don't have to sell it because people can feel it and people know it. And the fact that they constantly do all these things, make all these spectacles about little things and try to make it out to be something huge. And they just look like crazy conspiracy theorists. But again, it's only on the right that they have conspiracy theories. It's not these Trump derangement syndrome people that are just losing their mind, constantly feeling, we're going to get him in jail. Like Stephen Colbert clapping in the middle of his comedy show about what the FBI did. I feel like we're living in, they're like the Communist Party, and they want the power and they want to win, and they will give up whatever freedoms they possibly can in order to win, so that they can say, we were the ones that believed in the science. We were the ones that believed this. You guys were the crazy ones. We were in the right. And so they will do anything they can to for them to feel that way and to prove them way. Even if they're lying, they'll double down, they'll triple down, and you're seeing it right now. The actions that's coming from this government regarding Trump, people on the right, anybody like January 6ers who are just trespassing, not doing anything else, they're overreaching every 5 seconds, and I think they're going to get to a tipping point where even people like on CNN are going to go, this is getting ridiculous. This is getting petty. This is becoming childish. And now they're going to have a wave of of a whole different influence of people in this next election cycle. Hopefully. I don't know. I'm still kind of speechless about this whole thing. Like, I just don't. I'm glad people are starting to come around to some of these ideas, like the FBI not being your friend. And then I don't know if you saw recently today with the Governor Whitmer case, the kidnapping case or whatever. They were having a trial. Apparently, one of the FBI agents was sleeping with one of the informants there. Cool. In the same hotel room. No big deal there. No conflict of interest whatsoever. But, they're good guys. They should be clapped. God. All right. It's good to see that even CNN is allowing this kind of speech. It's crazy. They're not as... CNN isn't as insane as MSNBC. MSNBC is just borderline insanity. Speaking of insane... This man right here is borderline insane. All right. This clip from Fauci, I saw it earlier today. This is the most narcissistic clip I've seen in a long time. He's so arrogant and pompous, and the media, corporate media, Disney, politicians have pumped his ego up so much so that I don't even know if he recognizes how narcissistic this sounds, but I'm sure he doesn't care. I mean, he's always kind of been this way. So let's listen to this clip. It's just insane.
People go to medical school now. People are interested in science, not because of me, because most people don't know me, who I am. My friends know me, my wife knows me, but people don't know me. It's what I symbolize. And what I symbolize...
I can't. I just can't. It's what I symbolize. It's not who I am. It's my symbol. I'm a being. I should have statues resurrected in my name. I'm above the Fauci. I am a holier than thou. Keep listening. This guy is so ridiculous. The fact that people don't see this, or that people clap this and are like, yeah, Fauci is a symbol of truth. He's basically a Bible hero.
My friends know me, my wife knows me, but people don't know me. It's what I symbolize. And what I symbolize in an era of the normalization of untruths and lies and all the things you're seeing going on in society from...
I'm sorry, I just can't stop it. These people act like conspiracy theorists or people that are seeking out truth. This is like a new phenomenon. It's like people that are questioning authority. This is like a new phenomenon of people questioning authority. And the people that taught me how to question authority were liberals growing up in the public school sector. Constantly question authority. Do not trust your elders and stuff like that. That was always instilled in me as a young kid. So the fact that they think that the entire generation of kids in which they encourage that kind of rhetoric, encourage that kind of thought, to question the science, question the books, question politicians, teachers, parents especially, they always try to push that on me as a kid. Question your parents, you got to figure out stuff on your own. The fact that he's now saying these like untruthers or these weird people, like, do you not understand the people? Like, I grew up in the generation of the Rage Against the Machine generation of like the machine, the government overstepping its power, and maybe we're not as free as we think we are. The fact that we have to vote our way to freedom, or the fact that we have to ask the government for permission to have a gun and stuff like that, or like have to go through background checks. Like, we're not as free as we pretend to be. And so it's just funny that like people his age are seeing what they're reaping what they sowed, essentially. And you've created me. And now I'm more libertarian minded because of all the liberals that constantly told me to question my authority. And so I got to the point where I question authority so much so that I don't trust the government. I don't think they have our best interests. I think that they're out for themselves. And And there are a few politicians I trust. And I think a lot of them lie in order to get power, money, fame, to be on the cover of Vogue, like Fauci, to have Disney movies made after them, stuff like that. But let's keep listening to him.
And what I symbolize in an era of the normalization of untruths and lies and all the things you're seeing going on in society from January 6th to everything else that goes on, people are craving for consistency, for integrity, for truth, and for people caring about people.
Amazing.
People go to medical school now.
People are craving truth and consistency. That's why they do not trust corporate media anymore, because they have lost touch with seeking truth and punching up. That's why a lot of these figures that are established authoritative sources are no longer seen as that by my generation and younger, because of the lies and the twisting of words, fabricating of facts, being lackadaisical with the truth, promoting gray areas as the main narrative and stuff like that. So, and they're mad about that, and they don't know what to do about that. So they're constantly told in their inner circles that like everyone trusts you, and it's just these fringe, just a couple fringe people. That's why people like Biden actually thinks he's doing a good job despite his overall ratings, because of his inner circle. That's why you got to have people in your life to tell you when you're doing stupid stuff and hold you accountable, or else you turn into Fauci. God, just an insane quote. I saw this story today. This story made me laugh so hard. Elizabeth Warren says, "Everyone tells me they would vote for me if I had a penis." Everyone tells me they would vote for me if I had a penis. Every single person. It's like, I like what you have to say, but because you don't have a penis, I'm no longer going to vote for you. Sad is probably she actually believes that. It's like, has nothing to do with her thoughts, her rhetoric, the kind of personality she is, or cracking her beer or whatever with her husband, that weird video during the pandemic. It's just because she doesn't have a penis. God, we live in such a crazy society. Okay, next clip. Speaking of penis. Apparently, on a Sarah Palin Zoom conference, somebody started being a little inappropriate. Here is Sarah Palin's clip. If it starts. It's not starting. Okay. What if they got rid of it? Oh no. I'm gonna refresh it, see if this helps. So I have been live before where they have deleted tweets and then I try to find it and it all of a sudden goes away.
And we see just too often on the national level that somebody's messing with this.
Hi, we are getting Zoom bombed, so
I'm first and foremost above special interests, and we see just too often on the national level that somebody's messing with this.
Hi, we are getting Zoom bombed, so
I don't want to look at this stuff.
We're gonna have to exit.
Yeah,
if that happens again, I'm so sorry.
It's not your fault. It's people who are not respecting the process. A free and fair election, our process that they need to be involved in, taking it seriously and giving some respect to the people like you who are in the arena, allowing us to debate. It's pretty sad.
Angela, I think it's the James Anderson. Can you please remove him?
Oh my God. How do you not laugh at that if you're live? Like, that is so shocking. I would just laugh the whole time. All right, next clip. It's just so silly. All right, here's like I try to find like the top videos from news stories of the day. Here is Barry Weiss.
Former New York Times opinion page editor Barry Weiss claims that her bosses refused to publish an op-ed submitted by Republican Senator Tim Scott without first getting approval from the Senate's top Democrat, Chuck Schumer. 'Cause that's how journalism works. Weiss, who resigned from the Times 2 years ago, made the allegation during an interview with Scott on her podcast. Listen.
There was a discussion about the piece and whether or not we should run it. And one colleague, a more senior colleague, said to a more junior colleague who was pushing for the piece, "Do you think the Republicans really care about minority rights?"
Wow.
And the more junior colleague said, "I think Tim Scott cares about minority rights." And then, and here's the pretty shocking part, the more senior colleague said, "Let's check with Senator Schumer before we run it." And the colleague, the younger one, refused.
What a stunning allegation, Kennedy. And the New York Times, they say they never seek outside approval or consultation about publishing an op-ed, but the reality is the op-ed never published. The other reality is,
of course they do.
Senator Tim Scott was a leading voice on police reform. He was proposing the Justice Act. I was in a room with him and victims of police brutality with President Trump and Tim Scott, and I watched him be a healing voice during George Floyd at a time when there was so much hostility.
Yes.
This is the op-ed America needed to hear, and even if they didn't need to hear it, the point is you don't check with the opposition party before you publish an op-ed.
No, that is so incredibly unethical, especially from the New York Times. Barry Weiss, very, very talented writer and editor. They shouldn't have lost her, but she could not in good conscience stay there knowing what was happening. And she said conservatives were left to fight in what she described as an illiberal environment. And, you know, she was talking about this on her podcast. People did need to hear what Senator Scott was saying from not only his personal perspective, but his expertise on this issue. And he made the good point during the podcast. They didn't want a solution.
What? How is he an expert? But okay.
They wanted this issue to keep going. And shame on anyone who's so unserious about that, watching cities burn and, you know, watching law enforcement be denigrated to the point where communities are now unsafe because in many cities, they did defund a lot of the police, and vulnerable citizens, you know, who would have benefited from Scott's guidance are, you know, now left with unsafety.
You're exactly right, and you can't help but think of the Tom Cotton
like,
op-ed that
wrap
the
it
New York
up.
Times published, and then under pressure they said, oh, this actually didn't meet our standards. Well, the New York Times standards seem to be we check with the other party before publishing Republicans, and we'll rescind an op-ed if we get criticism, if it's Republican.
Right. You know, there's jokes saying that the legacy media are stenographers for the White House or for the Democratic Party. This kind of proves that.
Of course
it's
they are.
amazing that every now and then we get like a nugget like this.
You don't have to prove
but
it.
We have to
It's like,
imagine that
we already
wasn't just
know.
a one-off dynamic. This was in a
Well, if we
meeting
have
with
a
people
little bit more
openly
evidence.
discussed. An older colleague, obviously thinking that they were going to move the younger colleague along. What I'm thrilled about is that the younger person was sticking with, no, that's not fair, because it is inherently unfair. That you could disagree with it, especially, but that is the nature of a platform for conversations, is you have all of these kinds of perspectives, especially from a black man who understands the history, who understands poverty, who has a different grasp, even whether he's a Republican or Democrat. Black people in this country have a different experience. It is true, no matter what role in life they have, no matter what their economic status is. And
Oh, okay. So we can put all of them in the same box. That's right. LeBron James's children know exactly what it's like growing up as a black man compared to a black man who grew up in the inner city Chicago. It's the same lived experience. God, that is such a lie. I do not buy into that crap whatsoever.
And it's important to recognize that across the board. So I think
It's just like it's like imagining it's like imagining Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk's children growing up having the same lived experience as some poor kid in the rural America of West Virginia mountains living in a trailer. Same lived experience because they're the same color skin. It's life isn't that basic. Everyone's lived experience is different. So don't just try to I always say, do not look at somebody and just go, I already know what their life is like. You don't. You have to ask people. You have to talk to people. But this whole like just assuming people because of the way they look stuff is not a good, healthy thing to do in life.
I think that is one of the
you're
other
usually
things about
wrong.
Politically fraught situation is traditionally Americans have looked to the media, print media, radio, and certainly now television for a perspective of what's happening, not what we're supposed to be indoctrinated with. Well, and they're doing it in schools, they're doing it to adults through media, and Americans see this as well. Sales have gone down, ad buys have gone down, and so the Americans are choosing based on what they choose to read and watch. So it's a shame, but I'm not surprised.
Not at all, because the Washington Post, remember when Senator Scott was announced to give the rebuttal to the joint address to Congress from Biden? Washington Post immediately publishes a fact check of his family history. These seem like 2024 takedowns. Tim Scott's name has been in the mix. DeSantis's name has been in the mix. 60 Minutes did that hit piece on DeSantis. It's like whack-a-mole, whoever seems to be on the rise.
So you see this at a very high level happening, but it happens to every member of Congress. You're asked to respond to any crazy thing that any Republican ever says as you walk off the House floor. Democrats are never asked about any of the crazy things that AOC or the squad says. But here's what I find interesting. Here you have an African-American Republican senator who's going to comment on minority rights, and the New York Times asks an old white Democrat if they can publish it, and we're saying we're not racist. What the hell is that?
That's right. Tim Scott said this, Doctor. So there is something in national media that wants to frame any conservatives, particularly black conservatives, as being disingenuous or insincere or a tool for the conservatives.
This is so disheartening. I mean, who is Schumer? Is he the godfather? Is he the gatekeeper? Who is he to determine whether it should be published or not? But to see them deprive this senator of his ability, his opportunity to express himself, it's his right. Just like it is for the rest of us. I'm a daughter of immigrant parents who came to Ellis Island over 50 years ago. And they, just like every other American, worked hard to achieve the American dream, to have opportunity. And yet we see them trying to deprive this of Senator Scott. That is wrong.
I like
every
that.
level.
The Godfather, Chuck Schumer. Terrifying, right? On a Friday afternoon.
He loves it, though. He's like, yeah, I am the Godfather. This is great. I'm the Godfather.
They're in school at this point, right?
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily.
Yikes. Okay. All right. I saw this from Vice News, and I thought this looked really interesting because the one thing I can't stand about the green energy, everything about green energy, is that they refuse to talk about nuclear energy as if it's not the most sufficient source of energy and cheapest and best for the environment and self-sustaining. But, I digress. So I want to see what this is all about, because this says why the U.S. can't and maybe shouldn't quit nuclear. Yeah, you shouldn't. You think we're just going to rely on slave labor, child labor from Africa, China, to make sure that they are the ones that make our energy products? What a stupid way to live. And they constantly talk to in politics about how we're held hostage by some of these countries and some of these leaders and stuff like that. We're just transitioning to a different warlord, different lord of the day, in order to make sure our rare earth minerals are refined and stuff like that. So I don't listen to that crap. But I think this piece might be interesting. Let's see. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Oh, let's check the live news in case anything's breaking. Europe faces
me and the audience. This doesn't feel hot to me. I grew up in Washington, D.C., where you are now. And the issue here is that for Britons, it feels really hot. They're not used to this kind of weather. And actually,
you have no humidity. That's why.
That's the issue.
Okay, that's so cringe. All right, I'm gonna watch this.
So that rumbling you hear in the distance, that's not Godzilla.
That's not thunder?
That's not thunder. That's actually some of the massive equipment that we use to dismantle the plant.
The San Onofre nuclear power plant once made roughly 9% of California's electricity. But today, it's being taken apart.
The debris piles that we see are still further evidence of the recycling efforts that go in to make sure that all the different materials are segregated and they go out in their respective waste streams.
It's a striking image because it's like the skeleton of a nuclear plant.
It is. It absolutely is. It's the boneyard of a nuclear plant.
The plant stopped operating in 2012 due to a small radiation leak in one of its steam generators. At the time, nuclear had acquired a dangerous reputation.
The first step in a nuclear nightmare.
The accident occurred here at the 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant.
For the first time ever, the Soviet Union admits it has had a nuclear accident.
Fears of a nuclear disaster grew today at the crippled Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant.
Facing expensive repairs, San Onofre's operator took it offline.
I think when the public hears words like defect and leak at a nuclear power plant, that is scary. We're right on the coast. Fukushima comes to mind as, as something that could happen, potentially.
If there had been a significant leak, which there was not, there are safety systems backed up by other safety systems to ensure that no leaks to the public would ever occur. This is entirely unlike Fukushima. It was more of an economic decision.
California has been trying to pivot away from nuclear power and towards options viewed as more sustainable, like solar, wind, and hydro.
Could you imagine saying that solar and wind is more sustainable than nuclear? That statement alone is just so idiotic. But let's keep listening.
But after San Onofre stopped operating, the state had to start burning fossil fuels to keep up with demand for electricity. Emissions went up 2%. California's last nuclear plant, Diablo Canyon, is scheduled to close by 2025. Now, campaigners are pushing state lawmakers to rethink their plans.
Good morning. How are you guys? Can we give you a flyer? We are Mothers for Nuclear. We want to save Diablo Canyon and keep running it for as long as possible.
Mothers for Nukes.
Heather Hoff and Kristen Zaitz both worked at the plant. They're leading the fight to keep it open.
And do you get a lot of like mothers for nuclear? Like your mom's in favor of nuclear?
It's very surprising. I think lots of people are like, oh, you're for nuclear.
Right, it takes a minute, but Mothers for Nuclear was like, that's our message. We're for nuclear, we're moms, we care about our children, we care about this planet. That's why we're doing this. So it just kind of said it all. Save clean energy, Diablo Canyon power plant.
They believe that sticking to nuclear energy is the key to holding off climate change and saving the environment for their kids.
Duh.
I started working at Diablo Canyon nuclear plant in my 20s. I was young, I didn't know much about energy. It took me a long time to figure out that my values aligned with nuclear. We produce electricity that's carbon-free on a small land footprint, and that's pretty attractive to someone like me who cares about the environment.
People are going to hear this group is advocating to keep nuclear power and going to say, you're self-interested, you want to keep yourself employed and keep this plant operating.
I mean, kind of. You could say that, right? But actually, if I was advocating to keep my job, I would be advocating to shut the plant down because my job right now is in decommissioning. And I'm a civil engineer, and decommissioning is all about civil engineering. There's a lot of work for us to do there. But I'm not advocating for that. I'm advocating for the plant to continue operating because I care about reliable electricity for California. I care about low prices for Californians. I care about carbon-free electricity and, having more of it, not less of it.
Diablo Canyon is located along a relatively pristine stretch of California's central coast. And not every mom buys the argument that nuclear is cleaner. Linda Seeley is a leader of Mothers for Peace, which has been against the plant since its construction.
You've been fighting for almost 40 years to get this thing shut down. You thought it was going to close, and then...
Boom, it won't die. But it has to. It is so impractical and dangerous to keep it open past its date. It's like our worst nightmare is sort of slowly coming to life.
Why is it not as clean as the people who are supported say it is?
The big part is the nuclear waste, and they're making more of it every day. It's like, oh, eat, drink, and be merry, and let's make more nuclear waste for people in 500 generations from now to live with. And that's the gift that we're giving them.
And it's still a lot of energy that you got to make up the difference somehow if you turn this plant off.
That's right. People in this country have sacrificed for the sake of like a better future. They've done that in the past. When I grew up, we had blackouts all the time. We just had a little drawer where we kept all our supplies because that's what happened with electricity.
So you're okay with the lights going off for a little while every few days?
Oh my God. What the frick? She was getting rid of nuclear because she's like, yeah, blackouts are fine. I mean, if we have to do blackouts, who cares? But let's dig up rare earth minerals for our solar panels. And we need China to produce all this stuff for us because we're not going to do it. And we need slave labor and all this stuff. This is good for the environment. This is holy. Imagine all that nuclear waste. I know it's like this big, but imagine the her rebuttals and the reasons for not doing nuclear are so ridiculous and shouldn't be taken seriously at all because they're over the top, they're vague, she's catastrophic, insane. She's like, let's do blackouts. It's a good thing. Oh, I'm sorry. Why is it like these really old people too that like, really? You're okay with blackouts? Okay. What about at a hospital? Oh, they have generators. Thank God for that. But what if they didn't? Okay, you're gonna be there soon. It's just, I don't know. I don't understand it. It just seems like too many people that are against nuclear are the only people that make money off of not having nuclear because nuclear is so cheap that it would not. They couldn't make as much money from it, and they couldn't be as profitable. And also, the politicians couldn't go around and talk about nuclear. They couldn't talk about green earth. They couldn't talk about solar panels all the time. And they just, as soon as like politicians latch on to things that they feel like the voter base cares about or their base cares about, they just lean into it so much so, and then they just look at anything that's different than their message, like nuclear, and they just see it as like such a boogeyman that they can't even comprehend changing their opinion or adding onto it. Like, I would be for this whole green push if they were like, nuclear is an option. We should do nuclear. It's the cheapest, most sustainable thing that we can do. Also, a lot of the problems that happened back in the day, we didn't even have cell phones back in the day. And now we have these incredible devices. Technology is so much better than it's ever been. Now's the time to do these kind of things. And you see countries like Ukraine having nuclear energy, but it's like America that's very technologically advanced. Like, no, thank you. We'd rather stick to our old stuff. In fact, we'll just take up entire mountains and put solar panels all over the mountain because that's more beautiful than taking a football field and turning it into a nuclear power plant to power an entire city. But I digress.
If this plant goes offline.
You said it. Absolutely.
The reality is the US still gets almost 20% of its energy from nuclear plants, and replacing it won't be easy. Other countries like South Korea and Germany that have tried to move away from nuclear have been forced to reconsider. Earlier this year,
they're being forced to reconsider because of rolling blackouts, especially that you're seeing they're already proposing it in the winter. Britain just recently put out a statement about how there was going to be blackouts this winter as well. And so what happens? ESG. It's like, if it made sense, if it wasn't just like this emotional response to bad things and more of a logical response, I wish it was more logical because everything is so emotion-based. It's like these people that talk about climate change are the same people that fly private jets everywhere, have houses on beachfront property everywhere. It's just like there's no consistency. How can you, if you don't practice what you preach, I'm not going to listen to you.
Dozens of scientific experts urged California Governor Gavin Newsom to keep Diablo Canyon open. One of them was Stephen Chu, former energy secretary under President Obama.
The dialogue is rapidly changing. If you asked 5 years ago or 10 years ago, there were many countries that were turning their back on nuclear. And then they thought, well, wait a minute, can we really go to zero? And now it's creeping back up. For the first time, the correct question is being asked. What do you want to do? You can't just will renewable energy and there will be no economic consequences, including climate change, which is long-term economic.
Do you see nuclear as part of America's energy future in the long term?
I do, but let me try to explain why. You can't go to 100% wind, solar, hydro.
Exactly.
Maybe if you went up tenfold in hydro storage, you could do that. But we don't have enough energy storage that's week-long, even several days long, let alone seasonal storage.
How much longer do you think Diablo Canyon should remain open?
Well, as a minimum, at least 3, 4, 5, 10 years. My real hope would be that they would get a relicense for 20 years.
Even if it does stay open, that won't solve the problem of what to do with nuclear waste. Because the government hasn't settled on a long-term storage solution, for now, nearly all plants have to store waste on site, including ones that have closed, like San Onofre.
So all around us right now is old nuclear fuel, nuclear waste, if you will. Material that was once in the reactor, that once powered the reactor, and is now being...
I love, too, that they talk about nuclear waste, but they don't talk about, like, what about all the waste that comes from, like, solar panels and windmills and stuff like that? Products that don't work, batteries that no longer work, solar panels that no longer work that we can't recycle and stuff like that, or digging up the earth for rare earth minerals. Like, what about all that waste? There's no such thing as waste for solar panels. Everyone knows that. It's all good. It's not bad. It comes out of our butts, and it feels good.
being stored indefinitely.
That's correct.
By weight, how much total nuclear fuel is being stored in this area?
Around 3 million pounds.
3 million pounds seems like a whole lot.
Yeah. So to be clear, all of the nuclear fuel here is safely stored. This facility is designed for tsunami, earthquake, extremely high earthquake, and any other natural and man-made disasters.
This all strikes me as very permanent. We're seeing this literally torn apart before our eyes. And if the state of California decides, wait a minute, we actually maybe need that nuclear power and want it back, it's not like you can just flip a switch and turn this plant online.
No, unfortunately, that time has long passed for San Onofre. It's all been gutted, so it'd be far easier to create a blank slate and start over again than it would be to try to come back from the dead.
All right, I'm here in San Luis Obispo. We're trying to go see the Diablo Canyon power plant. We wanted to take a tour and see the plant up close. They wouldn't let us inside, so the only way to do it is with a boat. We're gonna go out and check it out. Go ahead. Michael?
Good. Nice to meet you. Yeah,
Keegan.
Michael.
Thanks for having me on
Yeah,
your boat.
welcome aboard.
Let's do it. Let's go see the power plant. All right, Michael, how far is it from the port to the power plant about?
Just from the tip of the jetty here, we're looking at 6.4 miles. Right on the coast, it has its own harbor, and there is a perimeter. We have to stay off a little bit because we'll get some warnings. You know, we don't want any guns aimed at us.
No, not today.
So we're gonna stay off and be safe about it. I've seen their security. It's like Navy SEAL dudes.
Serious business?
It's serious business. So we're pulling up close to Diablo Canyon right now, the power plant. And on my GPS, there is a 1 mile perimeter of unclassified restricted area. So we have to stay within that, on the other side of that line right there. So it's nice that it's on the GPS so we can actually see what we need to stay away from.
Pretty striking how isolated this plant is. And we can see just rugged coastline, beautiful stretch of California with a nuclear power plant situated right on the ocean. I guess they like to put them on the water if they need clean source of steady water to cool the reactors.
Where the exit of the intake, it pushes out warm water, and it's like a tropical forest up there because it's been hot water for so long. So you get like a lot of abalone and just lobster, all kinds of stuff. When the water around it, it's pretty cold.
It's like changed the marine habitat.
Yeah, it does.
You're from this community. Do you think about the power plant at all? Like, is that?
I mean, it's in the back of my head all the time.
I mean, as somebody who makes their living on the water, do you worry that some sort of catastrophic accident happen and you're looking at ruining the water for everyone?
It would destroy this area. It would. I feel like all the downwinds right here would destroy this area.
Yeah, worst nightmare kind of situation.
Yeah, my job is gone. So hopefully it doesn't happen. But it's in the back of my head.
I'm Michael Lermont, editor.
Cool. Well, happy Friday, guys. I might go live a little later. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love you. Bye. Have a good weekend. I might play video games later. Old retro games that being that. Bye-bye.